Good evening. May I have a mover and seconder to call this meeting to order? Henry and Mike. That this Committee of Adjustments meeting held on February 25th, 2025 come to order at 6 p.m. All in favor? Carried. Are there any disclosure of pecuniary interest this evening? Seeing none. May I have a mover and a seconder to adopt the previous minutes? Brad and Mike. That the Committee of Adjustments minutes dated January 22, 2025 be adopted as presented. All in favor? Carried. Welcome to this Committee of Adjustments meeting to allow the public an opportunity to express their views regarding the proposed minor variances and consents within the Township of Springwater. Each applicant and their agent, if applicable, will be given the opportunity to present the applications to the committee and public. Additional information on each of the application, including any presentation material, is available on the committee's agenda on the Township website. Following those members of public who registered to make an oral submission prior to 5:30 p.m. February 24, 2025 will be given the opportunity to do so. All oral submissions will be included in this meeting's minutes and form part of the public record, including the name and addresses of the speaker as information collected under the Municipal Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. The minutes of the meetings will be posted on the township's website. All comments or questions should be addressed to the chair. Application 1. Will the Secretary Treasurer please introduce the first application, item number 4.1 on the agenda?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Item 4.1 on the agenda is validation of title applications VT 2024-001, VT 2024-002, and VT 2024-003 submitted by K. Parnell and M. Vernon on behalf of A and L Parnell regarding lands known municipally as 467 Tiny Floss Town Line, 1560 Floss Road 11 West, and 1508 Floss Road 11 West. The purpose of the applications is to correct title issues associated with the subject lands.
Have any additional correspondence or comments been received?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, comments have been received from the Nottawasaga Valley Conservation Authority and the Severn Sound Environmental Association.
Can I please have the applicant introduce themselves and provide comment, if any?
I'm going to do it, Wanda. Good evening, committee and members of the public. My name is Ariane, and I'm a planner here with the Township of Springwater. I'm representing the 3 validations of title for the Parnell family for the lands known as 467 Tiny Floss Town Line and 1560, as well as 1508 Floss Road 11 West. The purpose of these applications is to correct an inadvertent severance that occurred in 1968, causing a Planning Act contravention. The issuance of the 3 validation certificates will rectify the issues on title and allow for proper estate planning in the future. Myself and the township solicitor are available should you have any questions.
Thank you. Are any members of the public registered to make an oral submission?
Thank you, Chair. There are no members of the public who have registered to make an oral submission.
Thank you. Are there any additional members of the public in attendance this evening to make an oral submission? Thank you. Do any members of the committee wish to comment or have any questions concerning the application? May I have a motion from one of the committee members for application VT-2024-001, VT-2024-002, and VT-2024-003? Henry?
Make a motion that we accept the application as presented and approve it.
May I have a seconder? Mike? That the Committee of Adjustments, having given consideration to the applicable provisions of Section 57 of the Planning Act, the official plan of the Township of Springwater, the characteristics of land in question and its surrounding as addressed in the planning report on the application dated February 25, 2025, the correspondence received and information presented at the hearings held on February 25, 2025, and the discussion on this matter hereby approve applications BT 2024-001, BT 2024-002, and BT 2024-003. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Application 2, will the Secretary Treasurer please introduce the next application, item number 4.2 on the agenda?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Item 4.2 on the agenda is minor variance application A01/25 submitted by D. Bildo on behalf of K and B Levert regarding lands known municipally as 93 Ritchie Crescent. The purpose and effect of the application is to permit the construction of a 34.23 square meter partially covered attached porch in the rear yard, which will exceed the maximum lot coverage provisions of zoning bylaw 5000 as described. A maximum lot coverage of 49%, whereas section 4.4.59 permits a maximum lot coverage of 45%.
Have any additional correspondence and or comments been received?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, comments have been received from the Nottawasaga Valley Conservation Authority and the Severn Sound Environmental Association.
Can I please have the agent introduce themselves and provide comment, if any?
Hi, Chair. I suppose I'm doing this one. Oh, that's not too loud. No comments of concern have been received, and I believe the report explains how it's minor in nature. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any members of the public registered to make an oral submission?
There are no members of the public who have registered to make an oral submission.
Thank you. Are any additional members of the public in attendance this evening to make an oral submission?
Excuse me, Mr. Chair, sorry, I think I had an issue unmuting myself.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, this is Jay Soriani. I'm here from Justin Char Design Studio representing the owners of 93 Ritchie Crescent.
Perfect. Yeah, you can go ahead.
Yeah, so the purpose of this application is to build the partially covered attached deck in the rear yard of the property. So we're seeking relief from the maximum lot coverage of 45% allowed by the zoning bylaw. The existing single family home, including its attached garage and front porch, already account for 39.72% of the lot coverage. And there's an existing shed on the lot that adds another 1.27%. So the new deck would be roughly 30 square meters in area, or 7.85% of the lot. So we're asking for the slight increase from the 45% to 48.84, rounded up to the 49% we are requesting. The deck would be less than 2 feet above grade, and only half of it is supposed to be covered. The owners have a hot tub on the backyard, so they would love for it to be more accessible, as well as make their backyard access through the patio doors a little bit better as well. The deck would be attached to the house and far from the property line, so the impact on surrounding properties would be very minimal. If anyone has any questions or comments, I'm happy to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any additional do any members of the committee wish to comment or have any questions concerning the application? May I have a motion from one of the committee members for application A01/25? Mike?
Yeah, I move that the application be approved as submitted as per the planning report.
May I have a seconder? Brad? That the Committee of Adjustments, having given consideration to the applicable provisions of Section 45 of the Planning Act, the official plan of the Township of Springwater, the characteristics of land in question and its surrounding as addressed in the planning report on the application dated February 25, 2025, the correspondence received and information presented at the hearings held on February 25, 2025, and the decision on the matter hereby approve application A01/25. All in favor? Carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Application number 3, will the Secretary Treasurer please introduce the next application, item number 4.3 on the agenda?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Item 4.3 on the agenda is minor variance application A02/25 submitted by R. Archer regarding lands known municipally as 8 Simcoe Street. The purpose of the application is to permit the construction of a 16.7 square meter extension to the existing 34.8 square meter garage for the purpose of a conversion to an additional residential unit. The effect would exceed the maximum total area of accessory buildings or structures and be deficient in the minimum rear yard depth and the minimum interior side yard width provisions of zoning bylaw 5000 as described below. A maximum total area of accessory buildings or structures of 110 square meters, whereas section 4.3.12 permits a maximum total area of accessory buildings or structures of 65 square meters. A minimum rear yard depth of 6.5 meters, whereas section 3.48.3D permits a minimum rear yard width of 7.5 meters and a minimum interior side yard width of 1 meters, whereas section 3.48.3D permits a minimum interior side yard width of 1.2 meters.
Have any additional correspondence and or comments been received?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, comments have been received from the Nottawasaga Valley Conservation Authority and the Severn Sound Environmental Association.
Can I please have the applicant introduce themselves and provide comment, if any?
Good afternoon again, Chair and Committee. This application for a minor variance would seek to allow for an already permitted use for an additional residential unit on this residential lot. And these variances would allow for this use in the conversion and addition of the existing garage. I believe that the application or the report speaks to how this application is minor in nature, but I'm happy to answer any further questions.
Thank you. Are there any members of the public? Are there any members of the public registered to make an oral submission?
There are no members of the public who have registered to make an oral submission.
Thank you. Are there any additional members of the public in attendance this evening to make an oral submission? Thank you. Do any members of the committee wish to comment or have any questions concerning the application? Mike?
Yeah, just one question, the minorness of the area, the square footage difference. Could you just explain your thinking behind that one?
Through the chair, I'd be happy to answer that. Let me just flip through. So the application is seeking relief for the total area of accessory buildings on the lot from the allowance of 65 square meters to 109.6, rounded up to 110 meters squared. But while that's fairly significant, the application would not contribute to the lot exceeding its lot coverage allowance of 35%. There'd be an estimated lot coverage of 30.1% after the addition of this building, or the addition of to the existing building, and therefore I would consider the application still minor.
Thank you very much.
Any other committee member? May I have a motion for one of the committee members for application A02/25? Brad?
Thank you. I move that the application be approved as presented with the staff comments.
You have a seconder? Henry? That the Committee of Adjustments, having given consideration to the applicable provisions of Section 45 of the Planning Act, the official plan of the Township of Springwater, the characteristics of land in question and its surrounding as addressed in the planning report on the application dated February 25, 2025, the correspondence received and information presented at the hearings held on February 25, 2025, and the decision of the matter hereby approve application A02/25. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Application 4, will the Secretary Treasurer please introduce the next application, item number 4.4 on the agenda?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Item 4.4 on the agenda is minor variance application A03/25 submitted by V. Hoffman on behalf of R. Beatty regarding lands known municipally as 21 O'Neill Circle. The purpose and effect of the application is to permit the construction of a 154 square meter, single-story detached accessory residential unit, which will exceed the maximum permitted area provisions of zoning bylaw 5000 as described. An additional residential unit within a detached accessory building with a maximum size of 154 square meters or 50% of the gross floor area of the primary dwelling is permitted, whereas Section 3.48.3A permits a maximum of 40% of the total gross floor area of the primary dwelling or a maximum size of 65 square meters, whichever is the lesser, and a maximum total gross floor area of accessory buildings or structures of 164 square meters in order to permit a new 154 square meter additional residential unit alongside the existing shed, whereas Section 4.3.12 states the maximum total area of accessory buildings or structures shall be 65 square meters.
Have any additional correspondence and/or comments been received?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, comments have been received from the Nottawasaga Valley Conservation Authority and the Severn Sound Environmental Association.
Can I please have the agent introduce themselves and provide comment, if any? Welcome. Just as Brooklyn said, to speak louder into the microphone.
Sure. Good evening, Chair and members of the public. My name is Ryan Beatty. I am the owner of 21 O'Neill Circle in Phelpston. Tonight, I'm here to ask for your support in approving our variance. I'm trying to build an accessory residential unit at the rear of my property for my parents to live in. They have had some health scares over the last few years and are getting older. And unfortunately, there is no suitable or affordable housing in Phelpston. Having my parents close by to be able to help them as they age is important to me. My mom and dad are the only members of my wife and I's family who actually don't currently live in Phelpston. So it'd be really nice to be able to have everybody within a few blocks of each other. We hope that after tonight's meeting, we will be able to move forward with this project. And I thank you for your time, and I'm able to answer any questions if there is any. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any members of the public registered to make an oral submission?
Thank you, Chair. There have been no members of the public who have registered to make any oral submission.
Thank you. Are there any additional members of the public in attendance this evening to make an oral submission? Thank you. Do any members of the committee wish to comment or have any questions concerning the application? May I have a motion from one of the committee members for application A03/25? Mike?
Yep, I move that the application be accepted as presented as per the planning report.
May I have a seconder? Henry? That the Committee of Adjustments, having given consideration to the applicable provisions of Section 45 of the Planning Act, the official plan of the Township of Springwater, the characteristics of land in question, and the surrounding as addressed in the planning report on the application dated February 25, 2025, the correspondence received, and the information presented at the hearings held on February 25, 2025, and the decision of the matter hereby approve application A03/25. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Application 5, will the Secretary Treasurer please introduce the next application, item number 4.5 on the agenda?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Item 4.5 on the agenda is minor variance application A05/25 submitted by D&S Ransom regarding lands known municipally as 1891 George Johnson Road. The purpose and effect of the application is to permit an additional residential unit within an existing detached accessory building with a gross floor area of 142.2 square meters and a height of 4.9 meters, exceeding the maximum area and height provisions for ARUs in zoning bylaw 5000 as described. a maximum detached accessory building height of 4.9 meters to permit the existing farmhouse to be recognized as an additional residential unit, whereas Section 3.7.5B permits a maximum height of 4.5 meters, or the height of the dwelling, whichever is the lesser, and a maximum additional residential unit within a detached accessory building size of 142.2 square meters to permit the existing farmhouse to be recognized as an additional residential unit, whereas Section 3.48.3A permits a maximum of 40% of the total gross floor area of the primary dwelling, or a maximum of 115 square meters, whichever is the lesser.
Have any additional correspondence and or comments been received?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, comments have been received from the Nottawasaga Valley Conservation Authority and the Severn Sound Environmental Association.
Can I please have the agent introduce themselves and provide comment, if any?
Hi there, how are you? I'm the owner, Dave Ransom, of the property P91 George Johnson, and like it said in the report there, we're looking to keep that existing house as an ARU. We were able to use that house while we built on the same property there, so it'd be a shame to tear it down. We'd have family that could use the property and have the house, so that's what we'd like to do.
Thank you. Are there any members of the public registered to make an oral submission?
Thank you, Chair. There have been no members of the public who have registered to make an oral submission.
Thank you. And any additional members of the public in attendance this evening to make an oral submission? Thank you. Do any members of the committee wish to comment or have any questions concerning the application? Sorry, Henry.
I make a motion that we accept the application as presented, along with the guidelines that's put forth by the planning department.
May I have a seconder? Brad, that the Committee of Adjustments having given consideration to the applicable provisions of Section 45 of the Planning Act, the official plan of the Township of Springwater, the characteristics of land in question and its surrounding as addressed in the planning report on application dated February 25, 2025, the correspondence received and information presented at the hearings held on February 25, 2025, and the decision of the matter hereby approve application A05/25. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Other business, will the Secretary Treasurer please introduce item number 5.1 on the agenda?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Item 5.1 on the agenda is a notice regarding the upcoming Committee of Adjustment meeting originally scheduled for Wednesday, March 26, 2025, now rescheduled to Tuesday, March 25th, 2025.
Thank you. Do any members of the committee wish to comment or have any questions concerning the item 5.1 on the agenda? Henry?
I won't be able to attend that meeting.
Thank you. Brad?
I'm going to be iffy for that meeting. I have the situation to deal with earlier in the day. I'm not sure I'm going to be there for that.
Thank you. May I go ahead?
Sorry, I was saying, given that, and I don't know Steve's availability, perhaps we should be looking at an alternate date. It's my suggestion.
Okay.
3 people.
Yeah, so it depends on Steve.
Just if it's necessary.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah. May I have a motion from one of the committee members? Sorry, go ahead.
Well, if it can't be, can we set a date that it be on the Wednesday? Because talking to Brooklyn earlier on, that date is now open.
I'm definitely not available Wednesday. Not that the world revolves around me, just I'm not available that day.
Yes.
So we can either approve this and adjust it or just change it back to Wednesday, March 26th. All in favor from, if we amended to back to Wednesday, March 26th?
I know you're. I'm fine with that, or we can just defeat it. I think it automatically puts the 26th, right?
Yeah. This is like officially changing it to the Tuesday, so.
Right. So we can just carry on and defeat it, right?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna make the motion for you. Rock on.
May I have a motion for one of the committee members for item number 5.1 on the agenda? Mike?
I'd like to make an amended motion that we change the date to the 26th Wednesday. And keep the motion on the table that the meeting will be the 26th.
I believe you're correct, but I believe what Mike's suggesting is if we make the motion for the 26th, we approve it. It's crystal clear to everybody that it's the 26th.
May I have a seconder? Henry? That the Committee of Adjustments hereby approve the amendment, the amended motion that our next meeting will be held March 26th, 2025 instead of Tuesday, March 2025. All in favor? Did I say that right? Carried. May I have a move and a second to adjourn this meeting? Brad? And Mike? That this Committee of Adjustments meeting held on February 25, 2025 now does adjourn at 6:27 PM. All in favor?